Welcome back to the GSL Code S Group H. See, there's a French flag waving in the studio. I feel there are many more online. Stefano, however, finds himself down 0-2, losing his first two games in a row to Innovation. Tough first game, and second game was a build or loss for him without being able to scout what his opponent was doing. So, taking a deficit. Terran players out there, though, I'm sure are pretty pleased. We've got another Terran player coming forward, though, and it is Hack. Someone who's been practicing really hard with great practice partners, like Life, for example. Basically the best player in the world right now. Nobody can stop him. He's going up against DRG, though. Old fan favorite. People call him the final boss. He's been really in shape right now. You can see Hack, of course, getting into Code S from his round of three, not that, but his third round of Code A. Ranked 17th as far as Terrans go and 36 overall in the GSL. To be in the top 64 in the GSL means you've definitely done something with your career. Somebody that people will remember in 10 years. Hey, you remember Hack? Yeah. If I ask you guys, do you remember Ensnare and Virus? You'll actually remember because they both did really, really well and were in Code S a lot. Yeah, if you just started watching the GSL about a year ago or a year and a half ago, you probably have no idea who those players are. But if I ask you guys who Hong and Prime is, you probably remember too. Players like Hack that will be remembered forever, even if they retire or disappear. This guy is definitely going to be remembered. DongRaeGu rocking the new MVP shirt, rocking in his booth quite literally right now. Looking a little bit stressed, but at the same time pumped. You know, it's that type of positive stress that you have in the booth before your match starts that can actually really get you going. DongRaeGu, like I said before, coming off of a tough loss against Life in Iron Squid, taking 3 early wins and then losing 4 games straight in a row to lose the series, eventually 4-3. Rough loss for him there. Ranked second as far as top Zergs go, and overall in points, he's ranked third, defeating his teammate Genius, notably, in a GSL season. That was a pretty awesome finals. There's other finals that he's done quite well in as well. I'm not going to get into all those because he's done so well in so many different tournaments, not only in Korea, not only the GSL, but internationally, even making the OSL finals, losing finally to Rain. So no matter what league he plays in, he's somebody that you don't want to have in your group. Hack's got no choice, though. Map number 1 is going to be Cloud Kingdom, the very same map we saw last game between our two players in the same matchup. So you can see how styles really differ when you watch these two players play. Same map, same matchup, different players. Hack looks a little bit tired, and DRG I feel looks a little bit nervous. Just looking at their faces right now. I've seen DRG a lot in the booth. I've actually studied him a little bit, and I feel like I know what's going through his head sometimes when I look at him. He kind of wears it on his face. See if he can keep himself together here. This is game number 1, Hack versus DRG, Code S Group H, casted by Wolf. Top right in the blue, Startail player. His ID means nuke in Korean. He is
Startail Hack.
It also means in English to chop away at things or to use a program to cheat in some sort of competition. The bottom left in the pink, in fact, this Zerg player is known as the final boss. He is
MVP DongRaeGu.
There he is. Hot 6 being the sponsor there. And DongRaeGu fighting is, of course, what that says in Hangul there. I'm a forever bronze. Oh, that's sad, but you know, we're glad to have you here. This fine gentleman sits to my left while I cast this, in fact. And it's always good to have fans come down to the studio. If you live in Seoul or you're nearby or you're going on a vacation, make sure to stop by and say hi. It's not only myself, but the other GSL casters and the players. You might even be able to catch Mr. Che if you're lucky. Hack takes a measly 5.2% of the winner prediction. DongRaeGu takes 40, a massive, overwhelming majority there of the votes. When you have 4 players, one of them takes 40. It's pretty safe to say most people think DRG is getting out. Now you can see the win rates here for the matchup. Both players having it over 60%. Just goes to show that they're top-notch players. Over 60 doesn't mean as much as over 80, but it gets to be a bit much when player has over 50%, they're consistently in Code S. Not something Hack has been able to accomplish just yet. He's got another shot at it though. Scout goes off here, of course, by DRG. He wants to know, are you CC first? Should I go double hatch before pool? As soon as he sees that there's a barracks, he makes the spawning pool. Does not go double hatch before pool. And Hack will just place his command center calmly on the low ground here. Something the drone waits for now, spots. So both players, very safe build. Difference here being that Hack scout a little bit later. He is going to get the information that he needs, which is not only that it's a hatch first, which is normal, but there's no gas. He'll want to stick around a little bit longer, see if there's a third base, or if you can see those gases made. The thing is, your opponent's never going to show you gases, but if he wants to go gas and you stay near his assimilators, or in this case, extractors, you're going to delay his gas because he doesn't want you to see it. So it's always good to be around before those queens pop out. The reason why this works out so well for a Terran player on this map compared to Whirlwind is because Whirlwind is so big, it's a 4-player map, it takes so long to get your SCV to your opponent's base that by the time you get there, he probably has queens out, you're not really going to be able to see anything. You can see Hack even gets a second pass in here. Gas? No? Okay. If you get gas now, your timing's going to be too late to be really aggressive against me. You could still do it, but I don't have to worry as much. Now you can just hang around and check for the third base a little bit later. Feeling very comfortable at this point in time. In fact, based on what he's seen with the no gas, he feels comfortable enough to make a fast third command center with just one gas. So this doesn't cut out tech entirely, and it's not super greedy for third command center. It's a middle ground from what we've seen already in the past with the double gas before the command center or the command center before the double gas. Taking 6 SCVs off of your mineral mining and your main base actually makes such a big difference as to how quickly you can power up your barracks, your factory, and of course that command center. So you can see that this is a great middle ground for Hack, who now gets a factory and his second gas. With this type of tech, we're likely just going to see reactor Hellion pressure into perhaps multiple barracks pressure at the third base with some Hellions to support. Nothing is known for certain just yet, but that's what it looks like Hack has planned. Probably not going to see double factory from him with a late second gas like that. It's possible, it's doable, but it's not crisp. And Hack is a crisp player. A lot of rumors going around StarTale right now with the recent departure of 2 top pro assist Squirtle and of course parting. Hack though, definitely a top contender, and StarTale really needs a win from him today. ESF teams right now are looking for all they can get. If you look at the list of players who qualified for GSL Code A, you see very few non-castable players there. Consider the players that are left in the GSL who are ESF players on these teams. Very important for them to win as much as possible. For the sponsor's sake, of course. Those of you guys not following esports and not knowing what I'm talking about. Roach Warren goes down now at this point for DRG, playing very safely as he gets that Potion Chamber as well. And it is in fact going to be double factory play. I did not expect to see this. This is something that's a little bit surprising, I find, but it's the same build that we saw Stefano face, but this is going to be executed in a different way. This is going to be siege tanks off the second factory. And the only thing, I don't think I've ever even seen this quite done like this before in Korea. I can't think of a time. And what's cool about this is this gives you a lot of different opportunities to pressure the third base heavily. When you pressure with some Hellions and Marines, the Queens do decent against that. You get your Spine Cores up, you do some transfuses, and yeah, you make a lot of Lings and you lose some Larva, but you don't lose any actual units. The attack that Hack probably has planned here, where he may move out with 2 or 3 siege tanks and siege up that base and try to bunker a little bit, is very, very heavy. And it's going to force DRG to really commit to an attack. You can't just make a few Lings and push it off the Queens. Queens are not going to be enough. And since he's going into Infestors right now and the space is taken so late, he's going to find himself a little bit vulnerable. The Roaches certainly will help out. Just depends on how Hack wants to execute this as well himself. Cancel goes down the hatchery immediately. He knows he can't hold it. A little bit oddly enough, restarts it immediately. He's going to have to cancel that once more. DRG is waiting the last second here. A little bit worried for him, though. It's a lot of Hellion firepower if he messes this up. He really thinks he can hold it. And if he does, man, more power to him, but I think that's going to have to cancel. You know what? He will just barely save this, I feel. Wow. But the second wave is going to be the problem. Already 2 siege tanks out, third one about to pop. He could use these siege tanks just to secure his third, because now he knows that the command center, or the hatchery is late. It was canceled once. It's otherwise very late. So if he just uses the siege tanks to secure his third against an army of the Zerg that's probably going to have either mutas or infestors coming out very soon. He doesn't know which just yet. That starts to seem like it's a better plan. You know, the more you think about it. Maybe he had a plan to attack the siege tanks early on, because you don't normally see siege tanks come out this quick. Now he can use them defensively. He knows his third commander's been up for a really long time. He's been able to beef up his SCV count. He's even with the Zerg player at the 10-minute mark at 53 to 53 harvesters. Great feeling as a Terran if you can deny that third base this long and have your own worker count built up. Because as soon as he lands that orbital at his third, he'll have perfect saturation. He'll be able to transfer further workers over there and continue powering up, as he's doing now, adding 3 additional barracks. One thing we already saw from innovation that we're seeing again from Hack is a little bit later engineering base. He wants to tech rather into the siege tanks than the faster E-base, so his upgrades are again a little bit behind DRG's, but not significantly. Not enough to where it's going to change the course of the game necessarily. It could change 1 or 2 fights maybe. These things come into play from time to time. DRG with a fast hive at 11 minutes, he starts it. This is going to be something that Hack needs to scout to be able to respond to accordingly. His armory is a little bit late, which is actually going to hurt his upgrades. Again, his +2 attack could have been started a little bit earlier if he had the armory on time, but instead, it's just going to slow him down a little bit. These little things add up. DRG's creep is insane. It's already onto the second hill, ramp, whatever you want to call that little plateau in the middle of the map. He's about to go down the ramp and start creeping into where Hack's fourth is. And if this happens, if you ever have a Zerg player who has creep in your fourth base with infestor support, you're not going to take that fourth base probably during the game. Maybe you kill the army, go for counterattack and win, but getting a fourth base just normally is not going to be done. Bungles go down on these Hellions, not able to do very much damage at all. And DRG looking stronger and stronger as this game progresses. He's just got all these little early leads. Whereas Hack's build just didn't, I mean, it makes more sense for him to have the faster upgrades than the siege tanks if he's not going to use the siege tanks. I feel like he thought, yeah, I did enough damage to my Hellions. His base was late. If I use my siege tanks, maybe I get caught by infestors and I'm going to lose my army and potentially lose the game as a result. Whether he uses them or not is a good idea or a bad idea, that aside. He went for a build that put a lot of gas into allowing DRG to be flexible because he didn't pressure him. Once the hatchery was canceled and he pushed off the road, just, just leave him alone. Now DRG has a 13-minute Ultralisk Cavern, Baneling Speed, Adrenal Glands, and 2-2 finishing up right now. Whereas Hack is starting 2-2, but it's pretty behind. It's a bigger window than it was before. He doesn't have a fourth base. It's going to be very difficult for him to do so because he hasn't been able to even step and scan on creep once. This sort of pressure play from DRG that we're seeing now is coming out just in time. Because now he knows, okay, what's Hack going to do? He's going to want to eventually start moving out and clear up these creeps. So he camps the bottom of the choke point here. So the Terran army has to come out in a funnel where it's easier to fungal. Now he's missed his opportunity to stop it completely. But he slowed it down pretty significantly there just by hitting the fungals at the end of that ramp. 21 Banelings going down for DRG. Looks like he may want to take an engagement on creep here. With good fungals on the medevacs, it's something he can do. But because Hack's siege tank count is so high, since he got that early second factory for that purpose, this has to be a perfect engagement by DRG, and I'm a little bit concerned about it. A good fungal goes down, but he loses the infestor. Not worth it there. Scans on the creep. Hack just very cautiously moving forward right now. He wants to be sure that when he engages DRG's army, it's going to be a favorable engagement where he can target down either the infestors or the banelings. He does not want to be unsieged. That's why he moves his siege tanks one by one so carefully like this. But if he gets caught just one time, this can be the end of him. He knows his fourth is late. He has to take this fourth because the other force is creeped up already. This base is more exposed. It's a lot more difficult to defend. There's no ramp around it. There's no choke point really with it. Yeah, there is one, but it's hard to control. Hack is going to face the Zerg army here, and so far so good. DRG engaging from one angle at first, now comes in from the second angle, and the second wave is exactly what he needs, but both players trade extremely evenly here. The Queens at the end of the line are really doing some extra damage to those medevacs, but DRG, look at that bank. It's being put to use. Hack, on the other hand, since he had his fourth base so late, in fact, it's just being landed now, cannot reproduce. DRG starts +3 now, 4 additional Ultralisks, and a ridiculous amount of Zerglings. I didn't even see how many it was going up so fast. 3-3 on the way for DRG. Hack doesn't have +3 armor started yet. He is slightly ahead with his +3 weapons, however. Consider that Ultralisks, though, have their natural armor. Something to keep in mind. Could get chitinous plating as well if he hasn't already. Hack is not out of this game, but he's on the back foot. He needs to take several good engagements, which is, on this map, very possible if you can keep your units at a concave at the bottom of a ramp. DRG looks like he wants to go for a two-pronged attack. He wants to flank here. And if he can pull this off and kill this base and most of Hack's army, the game is his. There's no way for Hack to recover with an economy that's damaged with no bank and no control of the map when DRG has this much creep. Here he goes, DRG with the flank. This is very obvious. Even though Hack knows about it, there's not much he can do. This is not going to be easy to defend. DRG rips through everything, takes a 40 supply lead here. The planetary being repaired, but it can't be repaired forever, not against this much firepower from the Ultras and all the fungals going down. Planetary will fall here. DRG sends a few Ultras to the left side to push that army back and transfuses. It's a hero Ultras right there. 9 kills. And just a bunch of time bought. Orbital, should I say planetary, does fall down. DRG takes a 60 supply lead here. His creep is not stopping. He is not stopping. And Hack finds himself in a lot of trouble right now. He has no longer any control over this game. He's at the bottom of the food chain right now looking for scraps. DRG is the great white shark of Zerg versus Terran. He smells blood in the water. Moving forward here now, going to consider going up into that choke point. It's always a tough choice to make when you're this far ahead, though. Sometimes you can just get away with it. I feel like this is not intentional, though, based on that path we just saw. And you know what? This is actually great for Hack. It's the best thing he can hope for, man. These are the scraps he was looking for. But the thing is, even though that was a good engagement for him and he killed several of the Ultras, they're instantly replaced by DRG. And he's not even quite able to pick off that last one just yet. He's losing more and more Marines. The Ultras almost takes down that siege tank. Hack is in trouble. He needs a 4th base. DRG is making a 5th base. 3-3 finishing for DRG as well. His Queen's feeling a little bit concussed here. Will both fall. Which will slightly limit DRG's creep spreading abilities. So will that missile turret. When you're spreading creep in division of missile turrets, that's when you know your opponent is stuck on the back foot somewhere. Hack makes a hard decision here, and the decision he chooses is to move his natural command center to this new 4th base location because he knows there's more minerals there, there's better saturation. But that command center is not a planetary, it's an orbital. There's creep almost underneath it, which means that DRG can attack it instantly, plus he has vision of it. There are no secrets here for DRG. He just has to make good choices now. And all the choices that Hack are making are about 100 times harder to make. Rock's going down here, DRG opening up more choke points so that when he engages against Terran armies on the high ground or on the low ground, he doesn't have to funnel. If the Terran army funnels, he's okay with that. Yeah, it's fair if they get all stuck up when the Banelings come in or when the Infestors go for the fungals. But for Ultralists, you want to make sure that the Terran army is not in a place where you can't get the surface area you need. 2 more Ultras, 20 Banelings on the way. DRG will also have burrows so he can set some traps. Just look at that mini-map. This is one-sided, this game so far. Hack really, really struggling. DRG looking strong. He just continues to rally the Ultras close enough. The Ultras count right now is at 10. 10 Ultras on the map. He's going to start using them. He goes for the same exact attack with the flank, this time with better units and his opponent with much less. This could be the end of Hack. He doesn't even have a planetary to fall back on this time. Dropping now down to 125 supply. The SCVs are going to go down as well. That one siege tank at the top of the ramp, that's not going to change this game. Hack is in so much trouble. You're losing all of his SCVs here. Has to lift his natural command center, which became his 4th. Hack's out of options. He goes for a drop in the main here, looks desperate, goes for another attack at the 5th. And these 2 things are great choices, but they're too late. Too little too late, I feel, because DRG will likely save his hatchery. He saves his main here. The hatchery does go down, but DRG still has decent bank in gas, and he can always remake that. We have basically 1 mining base versus 2.5 for DRG. If you want to kind of round the bases based on how much mineral patches they have left. Hack lands his command center again. A few more siege tanks go up to the watchtower. And DRG, he hasn't clinched it yet. But like I said, this is kind of like, the game is his to mold like clay. He is the potter, and he will shape the rest of the end game. We're now hitting the 23:45 minute mark. DRG tries to find an angle. Can't spread his creep much more further because he's afraid he's just going to waste his tumors and lose them because he knows there's a missile turret there. But his creep is as far forward as it gets. He goes for a straight-up attack here once more with the flank. the exact same way, and every time this attack happens, Hack has less and less units. GG. DRG, the final boss, wants to meet Innovation in the winner's match. He takes game 1, looking very strong so far in this best of 3, making Hack almost look weak with how well he played. Hack has had a lot of time to practice because he's not really traveling. He's living in the Startail house. But, you know, a lot of people talk about, well, Hack can train with Life. The problem for him, though, of course, becomes that Life is not often at home. He's around the world taking everybody's money, taking all the trophies. So there's not a ton of time to practice. He practices with Curious. I would actually bet that Hack has been practicing mostly with Curious for this group. DRG does no longer really look nervous. You can see, if you look at his eyes specifically, you can see that the way he looks at the screen is just much more calm. I don't know how to explain this. You know, if you see a person enough, you feel like you can really read their face. DRG is one of those people to me. I can see he's really relaxed now. One of the problems for DRG, I feel, in his finals against Life and Iron Squid was that after 2 wins in a row were against him, he started going on a little bit of tilt. He chose a great build for the map on Antigua, and even had the build order advantage, ended up losing because of his emotions. So good for DRG here that he's up in this series. Bad for Hack, though. He doesn't want a confident DRG. He wants a scared DRG. See if he can change things. The map is planted us. This is the GSL Code S, casted by Wolf. To the top right in the blue, currently down in the series. The underdog of the group. Can he get out? He is.
Starting Hack.
Only 5% of GSL fans voted this guy to get out of the group. So far looking rough. His opponent, the final boss, big fan favorite, taking over 40% of the votes. He is DongRaeGu. Looking really good with that orange collar. MVP always been a great team for that. Thank you for StarCraft's very funny. I would actually have to agree with that. You know, StarCraft actually transcends language. It really does. It's something you can watch internationally with your friends who love StarCraft. Because the dialogue is just simply the unit's dialogue from the in-game. Definitely recommend checking out StarCraft if you have time, maybe during the 5-minute break, to watch a few episodes. In fact, I think I haven't seen the newest one yet. The last one I saw was the Phoenix one. So I think there's one that I'm missing. We are on a very new map. This is Planet S, of course. You can see there are 2 gold mineral patches here on this map. Watchtower in the center is covered. This is not Planet S, this is Icarus. I'm so sorry. I was mistaken. Said the wrong map name. I was looking at this, I'm like, where is the SK Telecom logo in the middle? It's not there. This is actually not. This is Icarus. This is the GSL map. I was like, I can't remember Kessel maps having gold bases like that. I apologize for saying the wrong map name. This is Icarus, a new GSL map. The gold base, well, it's not a gold base, but the backdoor expansion is really reminiscent of, I'm sure if you guys say, if I say this map name, people are going to cringe, but it kind of reminds me of Delta Quadrant a little bit. It also is a little bit reminiscent of Calm Before the Storm. So hatchery goes down here. This has been scouted, of course, by Hack. Hack getting all the information he needs now. Chases the Overlord away as well. He's going for a 1-Rax expand, going to be safe here. And I like this choice. You know, you're down a game in the series. You know your opponent's going to expect you to go for a command center first on a map like this with the gold patches like that. And when you think about it that way, you got to be thinking, what if he just doesn't all in because he knows I'm going to be vulnerable? Ramp's a little bit wide. A little bit tough to CC first. If I CC first on top of that ramp, it's really far away from the natural anyways. Do I really get much of an advantage there? I feel much more comfortable teching here, getting the gases up with my expansion, as well as just getting a few Marines out to push Overlords away and keep the Zerg guessing. So both players pretty much in the know at this point. Certainly is chasing that SCV. Now, on this map, because of that gold base at the back, I keep calling it a gold base, but it's like a, I don't know, it's a mixed gold base. Gold base is very multicultural. It's a base where you get a little bit of extra minerals. It's also a free expansion you can take, essentially. So if you take this expansion early on, you feel very comfortable putting your production up a little bit faster mineral-wise. So you could add, for example, an extra barracks with your pressure. Or you could get more Hellions out with maybe a third factor if you see a build like we saw on Cloud Kingdom against Stefano. See what Hack's choice is going to be. Now going for his second additional barracks, going up to 3 with the Hellions. So we could see some sort of Hellion marine pressure out against DRG. The natural expansion on this map is much easier to take than the third base is for us. Look at the map. Backdoor expansion is close by. It's a backdoor expansion. Yeah, there's rocks there you can get in eventually, but that's not the concern. The concern becomes the third base, which is way far away for DRG up in the north of the map near the 12 o'clock, or near the 9 o'clock, which is even further away and very exposed. So as the game goes longer, DRG is going to feel less and less comfortable. He's now going into a lair. I expect we'll see him go into Infestors once again, just very safely transitioning to this tech that's going to allow him to hold any sort of aggression he faces. Double evolution chambers go down as well, transitioning very normally. Hack wants to get all the information he can with these Hellions. The most important thing for him to know, since he's powered up these barracks, is where is your third base, and do you even have one? If you have one, I'm going to say no. I'm going to prove that I'm the president and veto it. That was one of the worst jokes I ever made. I like actually cringing in my chair. But he has the power to veto a third base if he comes up with his Hellion marine pressure to stem. He's actually starting Marauder production right now as well, so he's going to have a very strong push coming out. This Hellion, you know, it almost did a lot of damage. It only got 1 worker, but there were a lot of very scared drones for their lives. Roachborn goes up for DRG. So far, no lair tech. There's the infestation pit. And you know, the Roachborn is an interesting choice. It's going to be tough to really make that work with the larva count he has in this 2-base economy against this type of aggression. Infestors are going to be much more useful. He adds just 4 roaches because he's not 100% sure the pack is going to go for one of those big Hellion pushes. He wants to be safe against that. He also wants to find himself in a position where his third base is not forced to cancel by 4 Hellions. Because there's no creep out there. It's getting closer, but it's not there yet. He wants to have those roaches out to secure the first wave of the Hellions. Be very safe against that. Speed's coming out. Infestation pit's done. He's going to start patching glance as soon as he feels like he wants it. Roach Speed comes up first. That's really interesting. I did not expect to see Roach Speed in this game at all. They were just going to use the roaches as an early tool. But he may go heavier on the Roach. Bunker salvage for Hack now. He feels comfortable. His Marauder count up to 4 now. He's making 2 at a time. And he's made a formidable force. This is going to be something that DRG, if he doesn't scout it until he gets to the watchtower, for example, is going to really struggle with. This is a scary army. He has to rely on those Infestors. The timing for this is razor thin. He starts the first Infestors now. They should be ready by the time this attack comes out, but he's going to have to get perfect fungals and good surrounds with the Zerglings. The extra Roach TPS not going to be too helpful here unless he hits the perfect fungals. If he botches his micro and loses his Infestors, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. But I feel like on a map of this size, this build is weird by Hack. Notice he hides his units, he goes around the left side. He's already checked for Overlords there. He checks the watchtower. This is not going to be known about by DRG until it's on his doorstep. 14 lings are on the way. That's not enough. He's got so many Hellions to support this. The Infestors are the key, and he's only going to have 2 of them. You know, 2 of them may just not be enough. The third base can't be held here. DRG needs to get good fungals on the ramp. He's not using it against the Hellions. He knows he needs to use it against that bio. He needs to get those Infestors up there, but they're already on the high ground. Here come the SCVs as well. Here comes fungal number 1. It's pretty good, but the second Infestor gets the fungal off right before dying. With this many roaches, maybe with good micro, DRG can hold. This is not going to be easy. Hack running through here. The drones are now pulled, and with the Hellion support, he may be able to break through. This is so close. I think DRG, though, has too many roaches. He loses some drones. The roaches have speed. They start to clean up here. Hack is dropping in supply. DRG lost a lot of drones, but he still has that third base. All the Marauders are going to fall. They're on creep. The crowd is cheering because DRG has done it, and this game is basically over. Hack has no transition point. He lost way too many Harvesters. Does not have a third command center. He's now just adding additional barracks. He's got +1 almost done, but it's not even done. DRG starts +2 for his Zerglings, and of course later on Broodlings potentially. Great hold by DRG. The timing for Hack was good. If it were a smaller map, say you take Entomb Valley or maybe Cloud Kingdom with a build like this, you might have won. But against DRG, he had enough time to get those Roaches and the Infestors out. Now he's got a counterattack possibility. He attempts. He may poke up there again, put the Weekend Roach to the back, try to pick off a Marine or 2, and just keep the pressure on until he gets some Infestors up here. I was going to say the other option, go for the rocks, which He in fact does. So killing these rocks is gonna put Hack in a position where now he has to defend 2 fronts. Not only does he have to defend his backdoor expansion, his mixed gold base, but also he has to defend his ramp, his main ramp that goes into his production facilities. That's a wide ramp that goes from that base down there into the main. He also opens up the second rocks. Hack has a trump card, which are these 4 Hellions. He's going to use this to try to do some damage, but he may be able to do a lot. DRG does not have much to defend. He's got 1 Queen and 1 Roach. So far, decent splitting though. Not a ton of damage done. DRG's Roaches though are forced back home. He sends them back across the map. This buys Hack very much needed time. He still doesn't have a 3rd base. Give you guys the worker count again here. 36 SCVs to 58 drones in total in this game. Hack has killed 30 workers. DRG's only killed 13, but when you look at total workers built, it's obviously in DRG's favor. He's got the better economy, he's got the better production, he can afford to build drones on a map of this size. Hive is on the way for DRG. He's just got all the cards. This is exactly what happened last game. He took the lead and didn't make any mistakes. Hack's hoping for a miracle here. 2-2 about to finish. DRG just playing very calmly and patiently. Very Roach heavy still at 19. And the Roaches don't have a single attack upgrade. They're about to get +2 Carapace. They're not the attack machines they normally are. They're just big tanky units at this moment in time that Hack really struggles to deal with without his Marauder force. If he fungles the Marines and takes them out, the Marauders don't have support. The Roaches can target them down just as quickly, especially with that +2 Carapace coming out. More Infestors coming out for DRG now as well as his Hive. Hack is desperate to get a 3rd base, but he just can't. It's so far away for him. We talked about how difficult it was earlier. I say we because I'm used to Calder being here, but I just refer to myself as 2 people now because I'm going insane during a solo cast. We talked about this earlier, where you have the bubble that thought this may just be it. DRG comes in, a really good split from Hack. This is a Marine King worthy. Problem is he just doesn't quite have the DPS. There's way too many speed Roaches here with Infestor support. This map is tough for a Zerg to take a 3rd, but if you're Hack and you take a late 3rd and you let the Zerg control the map, guess who it becomes tough for? The answer is the Terran player, and in this case, Hack is stuck at the top of his ramp, desperately trying to defend. He's got nothing set up at his backdoor expansion, which is exactly where DRG is going. These Infestors are going to potentially wait here at the ramp to catch any units that come down. He could just send them over to the expansion as well. He can do whatever he wants. He's almost doubling Hack's supply. He's going to force a lift on the orbital. DRG more than doubles the income right now of Hack. 3-3 is on the way before it can even start. Another drop comes down. It's just too little too late though. Even if he kills tech structures, it's not going to matter. Infested Terrans go down. The Roaches coming through here with their Carapace upgrade, able to tank a lot for the Infested Terrans to help finish things off. And this is just trading energy for units at this point. With a player who has better economy, he doesn't even need to trade like this. He just is. Medevac's out of energy. He's so desperate here. The Lings can actually even go through the main base ramp. Infestation Pit has to be remade, but Hack is going to have to hope for his chances in a loser's match. He will go down to face Stefano, which is something that a lot of Stefano fans were happy about because he does struggle a little bit with ZBZ. So for him to go down to the loser's match against Hack, it's to make him feel much better. Hack making his, looks like his last-ditch push across the map. He's got so many empty medevacs, no energy, nothing inside of them. 13 Marines and 4 Marauders in this army versus 73 Zerglings, 13 Roaches, 6 Infestors, and 3 Queens from Transfuses. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that this is the end. GG. DRG, the final boss, will move on to the winner's match to face Innovation. Hack, on the other hand, goes on to the loser's match to face Stefano. DRG is on a tear right now. You know, life has been unstoppable. DRG almost took him out in the finals. But this season of Codas, DRG looking great already. A player you always have to be, you know, aware of in the group. You never want to see this guy in a group, especially if you're a player like Hack, who, yeah, he's decent. He got in through the 3rd round of Code A. He's a strong player. He's got a lot of potential. He's here to prove himself as a Code S player. DRG is here to keep his reputation. So it's like Hack is building his reputation and DRG is holding on to it. That's kind of how these two players stack up against each other as far as scores go. We're going to take another 5-minute break, then we're going to come back with our winner's match. See you guys soon.